Hello everyone, I'm Hope, otherwise known as Museshake, and I want to talk to you a little bit about Life is Strange Before the Storm. Many of you probably know that I'm reviewing Life is Strange Before the Storm for IGN as the episodes come out, and I'm super chuffed to do so, not only just to be doing a review for IGN, but also because I really relate to this game. In the first Life is Strange, we play as Max, and her friend Chloe comes into it at some part through the game. Chloe is not very likeable in the first Life is Strange. She's a bit of a brat, she's quite obnoxious and rude, she's desperate to get the one thing that she wants, and she doesn't really care who might get hurt in the way, even though she's still Max's friend. What we know about Chloe from the first Life is Strange is that her dad died several years ago and Max also left, being her best friend. So Chloe was sort of left alone, and despite this, we don't forgive her for much in the first Life is Strange. She's harder to relate to. And I think that's because it doesn't actually portray the gravity of these actions, whereas Life is Strange 2 really gets you feeling for Chloe and what she's been through. Chloe's a really smart kid. She's at Blackwell Academy on a scholarship, and she's very clever in the way that she can talk to and manipulate people, which is probably part of why we don't like her in the first game, but it's obvious that she's not a dummy. So the way that she's acting out is very clearly not about not being able to understand school or anything like that. She's smart, she should be there. She's acting out because emotionally she's not mature enough to deal with some of the problems that have come her way. And the thing about this is she's a teenager, and that's totally fair. Her dad clearly had a much better connection with her than her mum. Her mum doesn't know how to deal with her without her dad around, and Max was pretty much her only friend who disappeared. And when you play Life is Strange 2, you can go through and see Max isn't replying to Chloe's text messages. It's like she's fallen off the face of the planet. While I can't claim to have exactly those experiences during high school, I can relate a lot in the sense that my nan passed away when I was about 13, and she definitely was my link to the family in a lot of ways. She was the person that I was the most similar to, and she helped me not feel like such a black sheep all of the time. I'm also not dissimilar from Chloe in that I can have a lot of destructive personality traits, and I slip very easily into depression, which is something that I've had to learn about myself as I grow up and find myself often being dismally depressed with not often very much cause or any cause at all, to the point where getting out of bed is incredibly difficult and I see no reason in pursuing anything. And I was also a pretty bright teenager with the ability to manipulate people and talk them into or out of things, which meant that I did go off the rails a bit in school after these occurrences when my parents didn't know how to deal with me. And I can vividly remember the frustration and confusion around the world and how pointless everything felt. And I stopped going to school for weeks, or would just come home, or would pretend to be sick, or just wouldn't go in the first place, because I couldn't see any reason to furthering my education, because I didn't see myself as having anything in the future. Where Chloe and I are quite different here is in Before the Storm, she manages to find this friend, Rachel Amber, who wants to burn the world as well, and they connect on such a deep and meaningful level that it's definitely more than a friendship, and I never had that. And this relationship gives Chloe a sense of purpose. You can see it behind so many of her actions. There's this consideration of, will this help Rachel and I? Will I go this far to do something for her? I can see how this would be incredibly easy to latch onto in Chloe's mindset, because if I had something like this at the time, I know that I would have become as obsessed as Chloe was with it, and I would have burned the world for it. When I look back at these times and feelings, I often regret not rebelling enough, not acting out a lot of these emotions, because for me they're still there in a dormant, horrible way, and now I feel like I'm far too old and mature to get away with a lot of it. So when I play Life is Strange and I see all these acts of rebellion and fuck the world attitudes, I really relate, and in a weird sense I yearn for it. So I guess what I wanted to get across is that if you were worried about playing Before the Storm because of not liking Chloe in the first game, I wouldn't say that's such a big issue, because she is 100% more relatable in this new story. And if you aren't relating to Chloe, then maybe what I've just described might help. You can check out both my reviews on IGN, and I'll link them below in the comments. And what do you guys think of Chloe now? Do you feel any differently about her if you've played this one? Did you not like her in the first one? Did you like her and relate straight away? Let me know in the comments, because I'd love to talk to you about it. As always, thanks for watching. You can catch me here on YouTube, you can catch me on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Patreon, and I'll see you there. Bye!